Hello everyone, welcome back to our class on computer and programming. Today I would like to talk a bit on functions. Alright. So functions I think you'll be happy to hear this, that function will be the last topic that I'll be covering for this course, and this would also be the last topic that you have to cover for your exams. Okay, last one, finally. Okay, so let's get into this. Functions, right? So functions, what is it? So you can go through all the definition through your favorite resources. For today I'm using c++.com. Yeah, you are more than welcome to use any other online resources that you have. It says that functions allow us to structure programs in segments of code to perform individual tasks. Alright, so that's the official definition. But for me, I have a simpler definition. Right, it goes something like this. Okay, so I think along the way I've said that, even if I hadn't, I will say it now. C++ is a high-level language, and it also a kind of object-oriented programming. Yeah, in fact, almost all, if not all, programming language nowadays are all object-oriented. So what does this object-oriented means? Basically, it means that even though you can program from scratch, you would be very efficient if you can share codes, if you can share what we call functions, if you can share classes, if you can share certain block of codes that are usable in repeated ways. Sometimes you need to do certain things over and over again in your own programming, and for all you know, it's also useful for other people's programming. So you can create your own classes, you can create your own functions that is can be useful in the future. Okay, so that's the whole idea of doing functions, so that you can write your own function, and so that you don't have to program from scratch. Okay, every time you need to use the same usage, right? So let's have a look at the example here on this page, which I think is quite interesting, to show you the structure of it and also on how to use it. Okay, so here we have a typical program using a function. Before I start, perhaps I should attract your attention here. You'll see that the main structure of the program is down here. Okay, you're familiar with int main, bracket, curly bracket. So over here we have a short program which only says int z equals addition 53, and the cout, the result is z. Right, so this is one way of doing function, where the function is called addition. You will notice that this word is new, you never heard it before. So this is the kind of telltale sign that you are using a function. Okay, you found a name that is never mentioned before, and after that there's normally a bracket with some values in it. Okay, which can only be understood if you go out and find a function with this name. Alright, so you go out before the main function. It's also a function, by the way. So you'll find the word addition here, and you'll notice that there's another bracket with two words in it. One says integer a and one says integer b. So whenever you find a declaration like this, you have to understand that these are for variables, and these are variables that are used only within this function. Okay, within this function. int a, integer b is what we call local variables. Integer r is also local variable, local to this particular function. Whereas z here, or z if you wish, is a local variable within this function. Okay, within this function. So you cannot use z here, and vice versa, you cannot use a, b or r here. Okay, so that's that. So have a look at the structure. At the top is the same part as your normal program, and before you start the main program or the main function, you add in your function, and the way to declare it is this way. Okay, int addition, int a, int b. Right, so let me tell you out on the outset that this is one of the ways to write a function. This is what I call the clever way, because you are returning a value back to the function. There are another way which I call the lazy way, where you have everything within this function and you don't have to return anything to the main function. Okay, we'll go through both for each of the examples that we'll go through today. Have a look at this example again. I think by using a very descriptive name like this, I think you can figure out what it means. So basically we have a main program which want to have the addition of two numbers. Okay, but you don't have to put in the plus anywhere here because you're calling a function. Okay, that's another term that you have to be familiar with. So when you're using a function, they are using calling. Okay, you always call a function. To use it, you cannot say you want to use the function, you say you want to call a function. So in order for you to call this addition function, all you have to do is write the function's name and enter the value that you want to send to the function. Okay, so in this case what happens is, once you type this z equals addition 53, and then you have C out, the result is z. So what happens is that the program looks at z is equal to the calling of this function, and the program now goes here along with the value that you provided, which is 5 and 3. You have to declare it here, so it's an integer 5 and 3. So within that particular function, what you do is that you declare another variable, and that variable r, I presume it meant result, r equals a plus b, 5 plus 3 in this case, and then you return the answer back to where it's called. Okay, I repeat, it will return this to where it was called. So in this case, it returns the answer 5 plus 3 is 8, so it returns back to here where it was called. It was called here, remember? So line will now become complete. Alright, so C out, the result is over here is 8. Not because you know it will be 8, it's because you have sent 5 and 3 to the function, and you're calling the function with these values, and the function, because you program it in such a way that it will return the answer back to it was called. So now the number 8 is here. Okay, I have no idea why I'm drawing the number 8 here, but there you go. So right, so there you have it. So a function is used when you want to repeat a block of code over and over again. So imagine that if this is a very long program and there are a few places where you want to find the addition of two numbers, so instead of typing the plus sign every time you want to know the answer, you can simply call this function and send over the value that you want to be added. Okay, so that's a very simple example. I hope by now you can appreciate what's the use of a function in a programming. Okay, so why don't we go to the example that I prepared for you and see how we can create our own function to address the needs of the question. Okay, so in this first question, I would like you to create a function to find an equivalent temperature in Fahrenheit when the user enters the value in Celsius. I hope by now you appreciate what Fahrenheit means, even though you don't use it. Okay, 90% of the world uses Celsius, but still a sizable number of people are using a Fahrenheit unit, particularly in the United States of America. So there is a need for us to convert between the two values. So let's make a function for it. Okay, let's go to our favorite IDE or your compiler and start doing your thing. So let's use the same structure as the one that we saw in the example in the c++.com website. Okay, I will again, this is how I do things. Normally I will start at the end. I will go back up to write the function later, okay, because this is the one that is being called here. So let's say you want to call it f. Okay, if you remember, f is equal to you call the function name. Now the function name is what? I want to call it convert temp. Okay, yeah, for obvious reasons I want to call it convert temp, and the value is something that came from the user. Okay, let's just say call it a. A came from what? A came from question from you. Please enter a temperature in Celsius. Okay, so make it nice as usual. There's also C in partner to it, so we call it A because we called it A before. So A is the value in that one. Okay, so just like the example in C++.com, you're using a local variable. So I'm going to declare it at this location here. Okay, if you're using a local variable, use it within the main function, not up there. Okay, because you're using a local variable. Now we're going to write your function. The function is called convert temp. So I hope you notice that I don't use integer here. I will explain it why, and I hope you can guess by now why I'm using double and integer and whatnot. Right, so what do you want to call it? Double. Why don't we call it C? Okay, I'm running out of letters now. Double. Let's just use the same structure as the one in C++.com website. R equal. So this is where the formula is. Okay, so by now I hope you know what is the conversion formula for the temperature to be converted from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay, but if you don't, then there's always Uncle Google to help you out. So yeah. So the answer is the temperature must be multiplied by 9 over 5. Don't ask me why that particular number, just to be sure. Okay, this is what I will do. I will always make it 0.0 just to confirm that it's not an integer, and then you have to add 32 to the answer. So that's your answer. So all you have to do is return your answer back. Sorry, not R, back to where it was called. Okay, so looks alright. Okay, let's see if it runs well. Let's review a bit. Look, double A, please enter temperature in Celsius, and you have it. Why don't we make it into a new line? So you want to call the, looks okay, let's run it. As usual, there's always an error with the this program. Right, what shouldn't be A, what should be C? Okay, so this is where, okay, please enter temperature in C. I know for a fact that if you enter 0 degrees, the answer should be 32. So let's have a look. 32 degrees, yay! So let's run it again. Let's enter another temperature. Say you are entering 10 degrees. What's the answer? It's 50 degrees, yay! So you can always check the correct value by going to the calculator. But if not, then to me it's correct. So as usual, copy and paste it somewhere safe so that you can use it later on. Okay, right, so I leave it to you to save it, but let me continue with this. Remember I said that there are two ways of writing functions. One is the clever way, the other one is the lazy way, right? So for the lazy way, what I meant by lazy is that, well, it's not exactly lazy in a sense, but what I'm saying is that you don't send values all over the place, okay? Although it will look clever, it is actually how you meant to write functions, but there is this other way which could also help you to do functions, and especially at this particular level, it will assure that you will not make any mistake. Okay, so this is the structure. So all you have to do is convert the main program a bit. So now the main program only looks like this. Cout, you ask the user to enter a temperature, you get the cin. Okay, cin always comes with cout, but then all you have to do is just write the name of the function. So this is also calling a function. Okay, just by writing the name of the function, you're also calling it. Okay, so what happens now? What happens is that within this particular function, you will have to have a cout value somewhere here. Okay, so your cout statement should be here. Okay, so the temperature, so you have to type it again because I delete the word just now. So if you have just copied it, so you can paste it here. Right, so R is here, and remember to delete this to 0 because you're not returning anything, and change this to int. Okay, just to make it complete. So let's first run this and see whether it runs or not, and then I will explain a bit on the little changes that I've made to the program. Okay, 15 Fahrenheit is 32. There's a typo here, of course. When doing work with a tadi, there's always a typo, right? So the answer is correct. So before I end this particular example, let me go through with the little things that I've just changed in this second program. You notice that I changed this part here. Okay, this data type declaration here is to signify what kind of value you are returning. Before this, I typed in double because the number that you are returning is a decimal number, so that's why you need a double. So this ties with this. So now that you're not returning anything, as a good practice, you will type in return 0 just to complete the whole program. And for that, since you are returning 0, so you change it to int because 0 is an integer in this case. Okay, so for this particular bracket, it says double because this is the number that you are sending it from the main program, because the number can be in decimal points. So you want to receive it in the double data types, so this one remains. Okay, so within this you can do this. If some of you are asking why do you have to declare a local variable here and the formula here when you can just put the formula here over here, my answer is that yes, you can do that as well. So let's do that. Yeah, you copy that, you put that there, and you delete all this so you don't have additional variable to declare. Right, so let's run this and see whether it runs or not. Should be, because you're not changing anything. Yes, the temperature is 32 for 0 degrees Celsius. So there you have it. Okay, so this is the second type, second way, not type, second way of writing function. So in your exams, I will also accept this as an answer. Yes, you will still get full mark if you're using this, but make sure it runs, make sure there are no problems, make sure you get all these little declarations right. If you plan to use a local variable, make sure you declare it at the right place. If you want to send in certain data types, make sure you declare it properly. And if you chose to use this lazy way of writing function, yes, I will accept it, no problem. So as usual, copy this and save it somewhere safe. Okay, that's it. So see you in the second example. Bye. Hello guys, so let's go to our second example for you to try your knowledge on function. So this is a similar question I gave you before, which is to find a BMI of a person who entered their height and weight. But this time around, I would like to see you use a function instead. Okay, so let's have a look at how we're going to do it. Remember that I will show you both ways, one the proper way or the efficient way, and the other one is the lazy way. Okay, and I leave it to you which one you're going to use. Right, so let's go to the proper way first. Okay, as usual, ask the question, start with please. Okay, always ask your question with please. Okay, that's more proper, and people will tend to cooperate. That's how I put it. Okay, your weights, so let's call it W. I'm running out of ideas of naming your variable, so if it's the same thing, always just copy and paste it, enter your height. Alright, in meters. Okay, so height should be H and W. Alright, so after that, always declare it as a variable. I leave it to you now that you know about global variable and local variable. So I leave it to you where to put it. For this one, I'm gonna use global variable. Okay, so anywhere in the program you can use W and H to store the value. Okay, so that should be it. And how are we going to call it? So this time I would like to call it in the cout statement. Okay, let's have a look. Sorry, that should be in this symbol. Okay, so this is how I'm going to call it. I'm going to call my function as VMI, and what I'm going to send is the W and H values. Okay, so my answer should appear here. Your answer should appear here. Okay, so in order to do that, go back to the space before the main function and write the value here. So you want to return the value to the place where you call it, so you must define the data type that you want to send it back. The data types could be in decimal, the value could be in decimal values, so the data type should not be integer. Okay, in this case, as always, I'll go for double, the name of the function. Okay, again the value of weight and the height that you sent from the main function. For this one, I want to call it A. That really shows that I'm running out of ideas now, but it's okay as long as you understand that A is your weight and B is your height. So why do I keep on using a different variable names? That's because so that you don't confuse yourself with the usage of local and global variables. Okay, not the best practice would be not to mix them both. Okay, I know that W and H is a global variable. You can play around with the values if you want, but for me, I would rather stick with a specific variable for a specific function. Okay, one function, a set of variables. Okay, don't mix them around. The way I would do it is like this. Okay, so answer is a variable for the formula that you want to calculate the VMI. Yeah, weight is A, so the formula should be, you remember how? Yeah, you should remember by now, because I've always asked this in all my classes, in all my tutorials, and all my exams sometimes. Okay, right, so once you written down the formula for it, so you have to return the answer back to where it was called, which is here. So the number should appear here. Okay, so let's cross our fingers and see whether it works or not. As usual, right? Okay, that's the first. Normally I will get something wrong, but it's okay. Sometimes things work your way. You don't know. Something is wrong because you. So the program does not have any error, but the answer is wrong. I know it's wrong because this is actually my actual height and weight. You know why it's wrong? Who knows? Because I use integers for the data types for W and H. That's more like it. So my BMI is 22.22, so that's the correct answer. So there you have it. So this program runs and give out the right answer. So as usual, you copy it and paste it and save it somewhere safe. I leave it to you to pause it now and save your program. I will go ahead and continue with the second way of doing it, which is the lazy way. I would not rather call it the lazy way because you would think that there's always a shortcut to everything. It's not, okay? So the lazy way would be to copy everything and just call it. Yeah, this is quite different than the one that I've shown you before. But it's okay, okay? It's still doable. Don't worry, because now I think it's quite different than what I did previously. This one is the laziest one, I think, because all you have to do in the main program is just call the function. Okay, let's see how we can do this. Let's see if we can still do it. So in this case, you just have to put everything in the function, and what you're doing is simply call the whole function, right? So this is, well, I wouldn't call it lazy, but you know, just being creative about it. Okay, and then you should delete this and you should return 0. Okay, remember when I said the other day, previously, it's a good practice to return a 0 so that your work is complete. So as you can see, now all you need is, actually you don't even need this line. Okay, so in the main function, all you ask is to run this function, to call this function. When it's called, the function will ask you to enter your weight and then to enter your height, and the cout is totally formatted here. Okay, let's see if this runs. It should run. Oh no, alright, so let's correct that. As usual, when programming with .adib, I always have errors. Okay, let's run it again. Enter my weight. You can always enter different values and check it with the calculator. Right, so the answer is the same. So that means this program is correct. So let's save it somewhere. So this is the what I call the lazy one. Okay, it's not lazy as in a shortcut of doing things, because you still have to write down the question, you know, you have to have the proper structure to the cout and cin. But why I call it lazy? Because you're not returning anything back to the main function. Okay, by all means, this is not a proper term for programming language. There's no such thing as lazy function or proper function. They just function. Okay, but in my eyes, this is what I call a lazy function, because you're not returning anything back to the main program. Okay, so there you have it, two kinds of writing function for simple exercises. So for homework, I would like you to try this question. To write a function to find the nth Fibonacci number, okay, when the user enters the value of n. Okay, if you don't know or not familiar with what a Fibonacci number is, go on and Google it. I would very much encourage you to read more about it beyond programming, because this Fibonacci sequence is very interesting phenomenon in mathematics. It appears everywhere, it appears in nature. So yeah, so first of all, try to find how to find any Fibonacci number, and with that formula try to create a function for it. Okay, so that's the pseudocode for it. Right, so there you have it. So this would be the last topic that would be included in the exam. So all the best for your exam. Thank you for watching and happy coding. Bye.